All right, unless I really mess up, this video should be fast. We just have to really quickly start learning how to draw circuit schematics. You saw in my last video, I drew a battery with wires coming off of it and light bulbs and all that. That takes too much time. We don't have the time to draw all of our circuits like that. And also, since everybody has different abilities of art skills, there's just no point to that. So electrical engineers, scientists, whatever, have developed a specific set uh, of symbols that can simplify what our drawings look like. So in the case of the circuit that you guys see on the screen, I could draw it much simpler, just having it look like this. And these things mean the exact same thing, but you can see that one of them is much faster and much more likely that people hopefully looking at it can recognize what all the pieces are without relying quite as much on artistic skill. So the important components in a circuit schematic, the first one is there's going to be the power source symbols. I always draw it like this, with one long line and one short line. That's good enough for me for a power source, and problems on the AP Physics exam often use that one as well. If they don't use that, they usually have a couple power sources in a row, long lines, short lines, long lines, short lines. Really, any power source that you come across, any battery that exists, is really a ton of individual galvanic cells, and so drawing it like this is more accurate from a scientific standpoint, but we're trying to simplify things, not draw them perfectly. Otherwise, we wouldn't be using abstract symbols. So I will tend to use this one, but if you see something with lots of long and short lines, it's a power source. Don't worry about why there's more than one. That's all that's going on there. The next thing that we're looking at is resistors. I, once again, will almost always draw my resistors as a squiggly line. But there's lots of different resistors. And so this second one that you see here, officially, that's how I've seen the AP Physics exam occasionally draw light bulbs. If you see anything that doesn't look like a power source, it's probably a resistor. And it doesn't really matter why it looks differently, because you guys aren't actually trying to build this out of parts. So you don't really have to make sure that you grab the light bulb instead of the resistor. A light bulb is a resistor, and we're just going to be using the squiggly line to represent those. But there's resistors. The next thing that I have on here is a switch. Switches open and shut. So this is, you always draw a switch in the open position. Otherwise, they look like the next one, a wire. But switches can either open the circuit or close the circuit, letting the electricity flow or interrupting the flow of electricity and causing everything to stop. So you'll see switches in there. If you see a switch in there, just so you guys know, a switch will always change basically everything about the circuit. So please just always know that if I put a switch into a problem and I say, what happens to blah, blah, blah light bulb when I close the switch? The answer is almost definitely not. It does the exact same thing. A switch will always be in there to cause some kind of changes. You'll see as we do problems why that happens, but I just want to warn you guys not to fall into the trap of being like, I don't think anything happens. Something probably happens. All right, next thing that I have there is a wire, straight lines. They're there to connect the components. They don't matter for us any more than just connecting resistors and power sources in different arrangements. And a junction is really just wires that split off or come together. So once again, it's going to cause things like current to split. It's going to cause electricity to go along different channels or to come back together and start going through the main line again. But as far as resistance and voltage and current things, we usually don't need to think about our junctions too much other than just recognize them when they show up. And my last two things I have are my voltmeters, my voltmeter, and my ammeters. And those are just used to measure the voltage and the current. And just make sure that you remember that a voltmeter is always outside the circuit and connects to either side of the object that we're trying to measure. The ammeter has to be part of the circuit, and it measures the current that's going through it. So just make sure that you don't put ammeters and voltmeters in the wrong spots, and you recognize that when they're in the circuits, what exactly they're doing. So those are my important circuit schematics that you guys need to know. That's pretty much everything for this video. So that was a nice short one. Thanks for watching.